Obviously, you've all seen the news about Dani Olmo. There's actually a comment here from Josh. Says, Terry, do you think Dani Olmo would go to Arsenal? What do you make? What do you make of this, Potsy? Because you guys need someone in those attacking positions. There's talk that he may be available for free because they've filed 2 court appeals to bring him in. Is this the type of player that you should be going for? You know, there's talk of Mohamed Kudus at 100 million price being set. You do need to buy someone. Do you think Arsenal are going to do business? And who, in your opinion, do you think it should be?
On the Dani Olmo thing, I still don't know what is happening with his situation at Barcelona. If he become available, I would 100% take him. The reason I would take him is because we've already seen when Ødegaard's out that we've got some problems. Now, I'm a big fan of Ethan Nwaneri, but I don't think that's quite enough when you've got a 17-year-old that you're trying to rely on when you're supposed to be going in for a title race with Liverpool, right? And I like Ethan Nwaneri, and I believe that he's ready to be a part of the squad. But I think Dani Olmo is quite clear in terms of levels and experience, right? So if he becomes available, you go and get the player. I don't know what there would be a situation of wage-wise, but if he is going to be free, I think it's a no-brainer, right? In terms of what Arsenal will do, I really don't know, Terry. I really don't know, bro. And I say I don't know in a negative way because I just don't trust the board and the ownership to get it right. You know, I've been waiting for an attacker at this club for 5 years. And the only attack-minded players that we've bought have been Trossard, Willian, Sterling, Havertz, and Jesus. And none of them are number 9s. None of them are really good enough to be starters for most of the top 4 clubs, in my opinion. And I think although Kai Havertz has been bought for 65 million and people say it's been a good signing, I agree it's been a good contribution signing, but I don't think he's good enough to play in the 9 or the 8 first team for Arsenal. How can you buy a 65 million pound player and then still need an 8 and a 9 in the 2 positions that he's supposed to be playing? So it hasn't been a great signing like some people think. When I look at what we might do and go and do, I think it has to be a striker. So when I look at Kudus and I look at links with Semenyo and Brian Mbeumo and Cunha, yeah, I would take that. But I want that on top of a striker. Because for me, I think we absolutely need a number 9 at this club. Now, we're not going to go and get Isak in January, although everybody would love to see it. But that means we have to go and look at releasing one of the clauses of one of the Victors, man. We've got to go and get a Victor Gyökeres or a Victor Osimhen or something like that in the number 9 position for me. And then Havertz then becomes a squad player. Jesus becomes a squad player. With Saka out, we've also got problems there as well. And we all know that Raheem Sterling is not it. I mean, I could have told you that before we signed him, right? So when I look at it right now, we have to go and get somebody. Now, if you're going to go and get Dani Olmo on a free and you go and do something up top, I think that's a really good window for Arsenal. But I've been very, very used in the last 3 or 4 windows in January for Arsenal doing nothing at all. In fact, with the last 2 windows, we've done nothing. One before that, we gave Aubameyang away for free. And then when we actually did do something, we were linked with Caicedo and ended up with Jorginho and linked with obviously Mudryk, and we got in Trossard and Kivior. So it hasn't been very, very good in the last few. So I look at the Cronkies, I look at the ownership, and people think I have a go at them too much. Oh, look how much money they've spent. Yeah, but look at the lack of ambition. £200 million in their own pockets in nearly 20 years. Are you crazy? That's mad for me. So look, I don't have faith in it, and I need to see something in January, man.
Can I just say one thing on Olmo, please?
I just want to say about the Olmo thing. So the second attempt to register Dani Olmo has been rejected with the Spain international essentially becoming available for a free in January. The agent, though, and this is where, again, it depends on the news outlets you believe, what you think is going to happen. This isn't specifically to Arsenal. The agent of Dani Olmo has said the decision made by Dani is to stay at Barcelona. He wants to play for Barcelona. We're not considering any other options. And look, that may end up being true. However, that's what they've got to say at this point because Barca are fighting to keep him. If they foul on a third attempt and they have to get rid of him, Dani Olmo is not going to sit there for 6 months, sit there for a year, and potentially not play football. I think it's something that Arsenal. I look at all the teams right now that could do with him. I think Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea, City should all be knocking on his agent's door right now, seeing what's because he can play in multiple positions. I think all of our clubs need players in those positions, and I think for Arsenal, it almost feels like not quite an open net because you've got to convince him to leave Barca. They're in a pretty good position as it is, but it should be a deal that all the top clubs in England and, by the way, across Europe should be exploring because the opportunity to potentially get someone like him on a free, and I know he's saying he's committed to Barca, but we all know money talks. You offer that agent a nice little 10 million quid, he'll get in the ear of Olmo and say, "Come on, bruv, let's get across to England." So, sorry, over to you, Hussam.
Look, with Dani Olmo, we wanted him to replace Firmino like 3 years ago because he's that type of player. First of all, I want to just say this about Isak because people keep mentioning Isak's name. I don't think any club can buy Isak in January. Any. Like I'm talking even Real Madrid. Like that's just an impossible transfer due to the amount of money, due to the complications of it and shit. I just don't think anyone can really get Isak in January. So from like the Olmo thing, look, with Olmo, I think he's more of like a player that links up play really well. He's like a number 10 kind of playing a striker. If you're looking for like a clinical finisher that gets like 25 goals a season, Olmo's not that guy in my opinion. Olmo's the type of guy that's more creative, links up play really well, and is very good with the players around him. I've watched Dani Olmo heavily because we were linked to him. And I don't know what the stats are saying, but just based off of eye test, I wouldn't recognize him as a clinical player that can score 25 goals a season. So is that like what Arsenal need? In my opinion, no. I think Arsenal need a robot. I think Arsenal need a bot. Forget the way he plays football. It's just about getting as many goals as possible. Like I think this might be unpopular, but I think Vlahovic would do better for Arsenal than an Olmo. Olmo is a complete footballer who links up play really well with the forwards, links up play really well with midfield, drops deep, collects the ball, has very high work rate. But would I describe him as clinical? In my opinion, no. Do I think Arsenal need a clinical forward? I would say yes.
We need two. The point was we needed two. With Dani Olmo is not enough. I agree with you. That is not enough. For if we're talking just Arsenal, we would have to get Olmo and an attacker. We need a 9, bro. We need
would you
a
take
9.
Vlahovic?
Vlahovic, I've always been a fan. I haven't really watched much of him since he's come to Juventus, but I was a fan of him at Fiorentina. But I don't know, Mo might know more than me, to be fair.
He's a scrub, bro, but he will get you goals. He's a scrub. He will get you goals.
Yeah, he's a robot.
Like, nobody likes him at Juventus. They just want to move him on. But if
they're trying to bring in,
he's not a good football player.
I'd
he's worse than
I'd rather
Gyökeres.
Gyökeres.
He's worse than Lukaku, bro. Like you'd rather spend the money on Gyökeres.
He's worse than Lukaku.
Oh yeah, bro. His touch is worse than Lukaku. His ball control is way worse than Lukaku.
Gyökeres is an interesting one, Potsy, because a number of reports have suggested that Arsenal have sort of ended their interest. I can't fathom as to why, unless Gyökeres has sort of told them I'm going to another club. Like I don't understand why you would
it's either that or we want somebody else. It's either he doesn't want to come to Arsenal or he's staying, or we don't want him. I think that's probably the latter. I keep hearing that we are after Benjamin Sesko in the summer, and I just don't understand this guy. I've tried to get my best, tried to work my head around it. I know he can get better, but he's not for me. I think Marmoush would be more interesting. There's rumors of that yesterday.
Yes,
I think that would be a much more.
What don't you like about Sesko, Potts?
Say again, bro.
What don't you like about Sesko?
I don't see it as a huge. I don't see it as a huge upgrade to Kai Havertz, bro. If I'm honest with you,
he's a project player, bro. Don, he's a project player. Arsenal should not be signing.
When you say that, hold on. In what context, though? In what attribute are you talking about here? Because if you're talking about having a presence up top, if you're talking about someone that's actually good in the box, if you're talking about someone that can strike a ball properly, bro, right, and can actually link up play quite well, hold up defenders, he can give you all of that. It's just his age. It's just young. You know what I mean?
Maybe it's just the games I've seen him in, but I didn't see him get a kick against Celtic. They lost 3-0, bro. I thought it was
trust Don.
I see him in the international.
Why are we not talking about us then?
Well, we were heavily linked to Sesko. I watched a lot of his games, bro.
Hey, good. He's in the research. We know you.